This is ClueCon Weekly, the official Free Switch web show produced and broadcasted directly from Free Switch. ClueCon Weekly features live updates from the Free Switch developers and presentations from various pioneers of communications technology. ClueCon Weekly is brought to you by Free Switch Solutions, the official consulting firm of the Free Switch open source project. Get help from the experts. Visit freeswitch.com. ClueCon, the premier technology conference for telecom, WebRTC, IoT, and all things maker. ClueCon is held every year in Chicago, Illinois, and offers an all-day hackathon and 4 days of technology-rich presentations from developers around the world. Learn more at ClueCon.com or call 877-748-CLUE.
All right, guys, welcome to ClueCon Weekly. Today is May the 24th, and we'll have Rich Garboski joining us all the way from Philadelphia this week. We'll be talking various things in the tech industry and eTech TV and all kinds of other fun stuff. So you guys hang out for that. And now, over to Kathleen for the news.
Thanks, Ken. First, we would like to thank our community for our data center upgrades this week. We implemented some much needed upgrades to our data center, and we could not have done it without support from our community, so thank you. And then for those of you joining ClueCon Weekly today, we're excited about some of our giveaways for ClueCon. There will be a free Switch book, some wonderful sponsor prizes, including batteries from Anchor, hardware from Obihai, and all of that is up for grabs. You can come win some awesome prizes and at our activities during the Monday Hackathon and Coder Games. There will be plenty to do and some great prizes to win, or you can just stop by and hang out. Visit ClueCon.com for more information and get more information on what we will be doing for the evening activities at ClueCon. And then for those of you that haven't yet registered, use the code CCMAYWS2017 to register and save 16% off your ClueCon ticket. And then if you'd like to sponsor ClueCon, please contact marketing at ClueCon.com. And back to you, Ken.
All right, thank you very much, Kathleen. So coming up next, we got Brian West. He's got some news for us related to ClueCon. So here we go. Brian.
It came in yesterday. This is the 2017 ClueCon laptop that we'll be giving away this year. So be sure to register and be there so you can be a part and have a chance to win.
What exactly is that, Brian?
This is a 13-inch MacBook Pro with the touch bar.
So that's like the brand new one.
Yes, it is. Custom engraved. This is two-tone engraving. It looks awesome. We'll be posting some pictures that I took this morning of it later. So be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter so you can get an even better look at this.
Cool. And what do they need to do to get in the drawing for that?
Register for ClueCon and be there on Thursday when we draw to give this bad boy away.
So you got to be there to win it.
Yes, you must be there.
And if you get there early and then leave before the drawing?
You got to be there.
So I think the point we're trying to make there is you got to be there.
I hope to see everybody there. We have fun every year. I just can't wait.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you very much, Brian. So, all right, guys, today we've got Rich Garboski. He's going to be joining us here all the way from Philadelphia. So, Rich, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, but I'm not from Philadelphia. I'm from New York City, but Philadelphia is just a few hours away, and hopefully eTech TV is going to be global. So we want to reach every city on the planet, so to speak. How are you guys doing today? Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, we're having a lot of fun. A lot of upgrades to the past several days. So having lots of fun with that. I think you've been doing your own upgrades there locally and new space, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me kind of give your viewers a little overview. I've got several different ventures that I'm involved with. One is my dream, which is eTech TV. We've been spending the last year since the last time we've met, actually getting ready to really go with a full-fledged launch of the show. We're based out of New York City here, and you can visit our website at etech.tv. And over the past year, we've done some productions. I've met some pretty cool people in the last year since we last spoke. I sat down with Dr. Henning Schiltstream. He's the founder of the SIP protocol. I spent some time with him, as well as we did a 7-show shoot at one of the oldest taverns in New York City. That's Fraunces Tavern. So you can go to the website, etech.tv, and take a look at some of the shows that we've done. And we're finishing the touches on our studio here in New York City, getting ready to really go full bore with daily production here for eTech TV. Now, outside of TV, I've been doing consulting for 30 years. I have a newly branded website called etechhelp.com. We'll deal with anything from IT, voice over IP. We work in the world of SIP and web design and video. We also do some video production for websites as well. So my hands are in both aspects. I've been a consultant for 30 years, heavy in telco, and we're now moving to more and more TV. But really what's exciting, another venture we have coming on is our mall, eTech Mall, that's coming. And that's where people are going to be able to, it's going to be the official online technology store for eTech TV, where there's going to be anything and everything to do with tech in that mall.
Yeah, cool. So what do you guys do in the SIP world?
Well, in the SIP world, I've really spent my telco experience goes back to the 1980s. So I worked with I was right on the end of 1A2 key systems, believe it or not, as electronic key systems started coming into play. And that was huge during the 80s. The Bell system had just broken up, and everybody was moving off these big 25-pair cables per telephone down to 4 wires per telephone. So I spent the 1980s, I was with Northern Telecom for a while, a company called Tide Communications. And that's when telco was really in its real growth stage, was during those years. And I left there to do IT and wide area networks in the 90s. Then, of course, the internet started to roll around in the 1990s, and that's when voice over IP and SIP started to roll around. So having worked in telco and in IT, it was a natural for me to take on voice over IP and SIP. So I've been involved with SIP since 2003, 2004. And I really focused on, although I could be heavily involved with PBXs, I really focused on session border controllers, just working on that border edge security with I've worked with every PBX out there, with anything from Cisco to ShoreTel to Mitel to all the open source platforms, integrating them with what's going on in the SIP trunking community. So that in itself is really kind of becoming a science. And with WebRTC coming around, security is even being more important on the edge of the network.
Yeah, and so that's actually where I was going to ask you about next. And so, I mean, you're seeing, I'm going to assume in your business, the transition from predominantly SIP for communications into WebRTC. How do you see that affecting us in the future?
Well, I still think, SIP trunking has a play. I mean, we have people who they're not even off of PRI lines. I mean, we're still moving people over to SIP, okay? And, so I think SIP trunking still has a play, but a lot of the session border controller manufacturers are now gearing up for that WebRTC protocol, which kind of handles, it's a little bit different than SIP in terms of setting up the connection. And with the invasion of combining video conferencing with text, with audio, all on that platform, I see WebTC really, in many ways, it can kind of, I don't think it's going to be a true replacement for SIP, but it's actually going to, in many ways, be more predominant than SIP. Although, I see some drawbacks now because we need browser support across the board. We need everybody to support WebRTC, not driving people to one particular browser that supports WebRTC.
Right now, yeah, I think we're going to get better on that because we're starting to see Microsoft with their stuff now. I think we're down to just waiting on Apple, and so I think we'll see some interesting stuff once Apple gets around to getting WebRTC into WebKit. So, but yeah, so what do you think about in the WebRTC? Where do you think we're going to go with that? In content delivery and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's different because, what's different is, when I started my show back in the 1990s, we basically had dial-up internet. So I was literally using a dial-up video conference during my show. I mean, and I was live, just like we are now. So we'd be 10 minutes before going live, going, connecting and praying that we don't lose that dial-up connection during the show. And the reason why I was using it was TV was always supposed to become interactive. As a matter of fact, as the cable companies started rolling out cable, and that became a competitive model against traditional broadcast terrestrial television, there was this whole big talk about, TV's now going to become interactive. We're going to be on. People are going to be able to view television. They're going to be able to interact with TV and shop and do commerce and chat and do everything while they're on TV. In many ways, that kind of didn't take off in the broadcast world. What really drove that was the internet, right? All of a sudden, blogging came on the internet, and then we had text chat, and now the conferencing is here with the speeds of the internet taking off. In many ways, interactive television is being deployed by the technology with technologies like WebRTC here. So in a way, this is interactive television. Here we are interacting. You folks at FreeSwitch, you're using WebRTC to enable this conference. We can chat during the conference. What's to stop me from running some interactive ads while this conference is actually rolling? So in a way, WebRTC is filling that role that interactive television was supposed to play in. So it's really strange. Like, the people in the broadcast market in many ways are not getting it. I mean, what's happening is, I once saw a quote from the head of NAB was saying we need to start competing because all these millennials are starting to go to YouTube, right? And you've got the chat clients that are going out with YouTube. They got YouTube Live, you got Facebook Live, you got all these live streaming platforms that are going on, and it's making the internet interactive. Whereas the cable companies, people are starting to cut the cords. It's on a downward spiral. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out and see who wins in the end. So I really think this WebRTC stuff is it's going to become really, really mainstream as people adopt it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think there's a lot of usage out there. People are already using it. They don't even realize they're using it. It's just so ubiquitous behind the scenes, or getting that way, because it's so easy to do those, like you said, the interactive stuff that's going on. So something as simple as Facebook Messenger on your iPhone, that's WebRTC. Most people don't realize.
Right. Some people are actually deploying WebRTC to do strictly voice. I see a couple people out there doing downloadable apps. They're using a WebRTC client to enable that phone call, and then it makes a natural transition over to video much easier because it's already built in, which is obviously one of the pluses of WebRTC over SIP. Is handling video is a lot easier in terms of the protocol.
Right. Yeah. So. With all that's going on, how do you see this? Let's go back to a little bit what you were talking about earlier. We have all this now in the broadcast. Really, we're hitting the broadcast industry. We're hitting some of the stuff with WebRTC that the phone company tried to do, a decade or two ago with ISDN and doing menus and stuff on the phone to order movie tickets. So now we've seen all that stuff really migrate onto, replace really two different things, your telephone and your TV, with little more than a web browser. But how do you see this come back? Let's go back to the business side of things. Now we have all these capabilities. How do you see that affecting the PBX market out there for guys that are, hitting the SMB, SME type arena?
Actually, excellent question, because I come from the PBX market, and it started, and in the 1980s, which I think is a bad play, is we had all these telephone manufacturers making a proprietary telephone to communicate with a big refrigerator, right? Big refrigerator to connect to the telecom network, and you had to buy the Mitel phone with the Mitel PBX, the Nortel phone with the Nortel PBX, and they kind of kept you closed in. Well, what's happening is the refrigerator is going away, right? People are not deploying on premise, with more and more people doing it out of the cloud. So if you look at what's going on in the business world, Avaya filed Chapter 11. Okay, Toshiba just their assets were just taken over by Mitel. So we see the PBX market dwindling. Their numbers aren't there, and we also see things being more open. I'm a much more of a believer in having open SIP supported rather than having these proprietary phones. So PBXs are, really, what is their future going to be? I mean, we've got phones going to the cloud. We have the PBX market is kind of dwindling. We now have the ability with our mobile phones and with our PCs and WebRTC, in effect, replacing the telephone. We'll have two arguments. We'll have the telephone manufacturers go, no, you have to have a phone set on your desk with dial the old traditional numbers, right? But then there are some people saying, wait a second, we can run a call center, we can run different applications, all cloud-based, and I don't even need a telephone instrument. So that's actually doing it. And then we have people that are doing it all on their mobile. I mean, the apps, the SIP apps, the native SIP apps that are running, and RTC apps that are running on mobile devices are actually getting better. They're actually getting more efficient. They're getting better. The codecs are better. And why can't I just go to work, use my SIP client on my mobile phone, which is just a computer anyway, and connect to my SIP network, and I don't even need that PBX anymore. So I see the PBX market dwindling. I think we're going to see less and less of it. And who knows, maybe in 10 years, it's going to be in effect gone.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the PBX, you're talking about the traditional on-site big gigantor box from Cisco or Avaya or whoever that was literally $1 million purchase for a medium-sized company a decade or so ago. I know I bought plenty of those. Well,
yeah, and no, don't get me wrong. The PBX people, I was talking to, and he's up on the website. I had a chance to sit down with a while back with the CEO of Mitel, Rich B, and we talked about his change, because he came from the old refrigerator as a PBX. And one interesting fact that he told me was that they only have 8 hardware engineers, and the rest are all software engineers. So a lot of the PBX manufacturers are now saying, wait a second, we don't need to make hardware anymore. We could actually virtualize this stuff and have it very software based. And now you can, in your cabinet, you can really do it with one U box, literally support 1,000 users. So less and less hardware, more and more software. And there still is a play to, sometimes you gotta look, if I've got 30, 40 users and I'm playing cloud fee, I recently did a project for a tire dealership, and they had about 300 or 400 users in their corporate facility with call centers, and then they had about 1,200 users in remote stores, and it's still an IP network. And if you look at the cost that we would have had to go 100% cloud on 50, 60 call center operations, 300 corporate users, and 1,200 remote phones, it still makes sense to have your own IP network in place. So will it be gone 100%? I don't believe so. I still think there are some plays to do kind of hybrids where you do have on-premise stuff, but you can you deploy some stuff in the cloud for things like disaster recovery.
Right, and when you're talking about a large enterprise there, not necessarily somebody in the small medium business market where
Right.
I'm going to say 50 to 100 users or something like that. When you
Right.
get like that, you start running into all kinds of things that you got to look at. I think like media, how much bandwidth do you have between your site and the data center? That's where you start getting expensive. So,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, no, that's real good information there. I think I think I agree with you. I mean, because I've had like the old Nortel Option 81C that literally took a box truck to deliver, and then these days with something like FreeSwitch or some of the other software-based systems out there, 1U box, and we're doing the same thing with cell phones and browsers, and even if we need to support old-fashioned desk phones, we can still get those and still support those. So it's like we're moving the smarts around in the network and making it easier for people to deploy things. So, yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting time.
It is. I mean, I look back. You would think some of the technology I've actually worked on. I mentioned it, and people don't even know what it is. They don't know what A2 key systems or electronic key systems. But interesting conversation. I actually have a client that's actually, what's going to happen with the fax? I mean, it just will not go away. It will just not go away. I mean, I think personally, I think we ought to outlaw the fax and say if you get caught using a fax, we're going to set you up, and you're going to have to go. We're going to take your cell phone away from you, and you're going to have to use a pager. I mean, people still, there are certain industries that still live on the fax, and it's like it's based upon analog technology. And I don't know where T38, if it's ever gonna be somewhat stable enough to use.
Actually, it works quite nice. Me and Mr. Brian West were talking about this the other day, actually, because he was going round and round with faxing, and he actually went and looked it up. And most people don't realize this, but in business here in the States, we didn't really see faxing, hit an explosion until late 80s, early 90s. But that's 1960s technology, and we can think that, and Brian did the research on this, we can think the Japanese were standardizing that. But then we have this other invention that was invented back in the 70s, and everyone uses it. It's called email. And, everybody's got an iPhone now or an Android phone, and it's got a camera in it, and they're really high res. You can take a picture of a doc and email it and get it there, probably in the same amount of time as a fax.
Right.
So, plus we do things like e-signing of documents and stuff like that. So, do we really need a fax machine anymore, please?
Let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. You've had a long life with it. It's time to let it go. No. Well, it's just seems, and the problems that you have with T38, obviously with beta, you can afford a little latency and delay. With SIP, okay, you got to deal with things like jitter and how many hops you're going through. WebRTC, it gets more and more critical, and with the faxing protocols, it's like you start getting so many hops deep, and then it's troublesome, and I don't know. It's I just wish it could be replaced, right?
It's one of those devices that just will not go away. Kind of like the keypad on your phone.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so with all this stuff in the transition into WebRTC and the PBX market, so how is this really going to be driving eTech TV over the next?
Well, listen, it was interesting when the technology that we have available today. I wish I had when I ran my show in the 90s. Now I'm actually saying, wow, I can actually be interactive. Well, here's how we're going to use technology. Okay, first of all, I want to make eTech TV as interactive as possible. Now I can actually, bring guests in via a WebRTC session. Even though a lot of broadcast media uses Skype as the engine to bring people in, I really want to use WebRTC. as the engine to bring different people in as panelists, so on and so forth. I want to obviously make it interactive. Literally have chats and things like that during the show. But the most important thing, that's the business side of it, is how do you keep your business? What's your business model? The business model is obviously and from the media side, eTech TV is all about ads, sponsorships, interactive ads. But now we're going to say, hey, you can shop for, if you're looking at IP telephony, well, you can go to the mall and all the vendors that are actually supporting the show. It's going to be a virtual mall, right? I'm the landlord. In the virtual mall, people can go in the virtual mall and shop for different technology that they can use for their home and their business from the mall, and they're supporting the show at the same time. So, yes, I want that interactive buying element to it. And, of course, eTech Health is going to be back there in the background as a professional services organization. So I'm really planning on interactive commerce with eTech TV being the media machine, or the advertising model, to go out there and spread throughout the country. It's interesting. I've had people from China, the Philippines, who regularly go to eTech TV and they watch content. So hopefully we can be global, and we can have visitors from all over the world.
Yeah, cool. So, all right, well, cool, man. I think we've talked about all kinds of fun stuff today. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you want to talk about?
Well, interesting for my viewers. We'll rebroadcast this on eTech TV, and give me a quick overtake on where's FreeSwitch right now. I know you guys have been involved with WebRTC. You are part of the open source platform, and by the way, we are a couple of series that I'm really dying to do on eTech TV. I want to do a Battle of the Browser series, and that's going to be, I'm going to actually have all the browser. I'm going to do a show on each one of the browsers, and have each one of the developers of the browsers on the show. And I'm going to do the same thing in terms of the open source world, because there's a lot of different flavors of open source. And we'd love to get you on eTech TV and talk about what FreeSwitch is doing. But give our viewers that are watching eTech TV an overview of what you guys are doing, where you're going with WebRTC, and your take on what's going on with open source telephony.
Well, I mean, we're seeing So for guys that don't know what FreeSwitch is, FreeSwitch was invented by Anthony Minnesali about 15 years ago, it seems like now. Maybe not quite that long ago, but actually it is 12 years ago now. And it was to address, he ran a company that did a lot in this world, and he needed to address an issue. He's a very talented programmer, so he wrote a tool to address his needs at that point.
Right.
And so Brian and Mike Mike Jarrett, they worked with Tony at that point in time, and it started out very much as a SIP switch, but very scalable. So as we've gone over the past 10 years, we've seen a lot of new features added into it, conferencing, for instance, as there's a need for that. And then a couple of years ago, with WebRTC, that really made it, really interesting to do the video now, because everybody can get a video phone. They have a browser. So now with that, and with WebRTC, and now FreeSwitch has a full video stack, so we can transcode video between, say, VP8 and H.264. As additional codecs start becoming available, those will get added in as the browsers. The browsers kind of drive that market. So from there, we're working on some new stuff that I think will be really interesting out there. Really can't talk about it yet, but we're seeing continued growth in the WebRTC usage. We're seeing less. We're seeing a lot of SIP over WebRTC, but we're also seeing other things like Verdo, which is a FreeSwitch, which is an open standard. It's an open protocol right now. It's pretty much FreeSwitch specific, but it allows you something much simpler for setting up and tearing down calls than with SIP. SIP's a very complex protocol, but with Verdo, you can say, hey, start a call to this destination. Okay, we're done with that call, so hang it up, or let's pause or hold that call. And with Verdo, we can also do things like push messages from the server down to the client, so there's a whole eventing system there. So we're starting to see stuff like this get deployed and used out there in ways we haven't thought of yet. And I'm sure there's a lot more ways that this can be used out there for other things. So I think, voting system during the middle of a show. Everybody does that with telephones now. But I could see, a webcast or watch us on the web, and we push the votes out to the browser in real time. And if we need to change it because something just changed, you just change whatever.
Right.
Things like we're doing here, for guys not watching on YouTube that are watching us live here via the WebRTC, we can see who's talking. We can do things like mute people, control screens, all kinds of fun stuff. So there's a lot of things within FreeSwitch that we've added in the past couple of years. That stuff is going to continue growing. We have really, with the addition of video, started producing a weekly conference call, ClueCon Weekly. For you guys that are watching on ClueCon Weekly, thank you. You can follow us. You can get that feed off our YouTube channel, youtube.com/FreeSwitch. And so we do interesting stuff, not just FreeSwitch related stuff on there, but communications related stuff. So we've had everybody from OpenSIFs, Comma Elio, Asterisk, just to name a few open source projects. Various other people in the industry come in and hang out with us and chat about what they're working on. We even have some guys from the UK that join us on a regular basis that are working on some cellular stuff to bring cellular to lower cost, I shouldn't say lower cost, but lower density areas where the carriers don't want to go because there's not enough subscribers out there. So we see in those kind of networks, and we see WebRTC, FreeSwitch, CIF, all kinds of different stuff. And it's really interesting to see how these guys are combining things together. So I think we're going to continue to see that. The team's going to continue working toward ClueCon coming up, which is our big annual conference in Chicago. For people that want to see that, go to ClueCon.com. Come out and join us. You'll see people from all around the world there in the communications and IoT business. So I think it's both open source and commercial. So I think it'll be really interesting what goes on there this year.
Sounds like some interesting stuff. Now, for our viewers, if they want to go download the software and kind of play with it, where do they go?
They can go to freeswitch.org, and right there they can find all the information they want to. If they want to get a quick start, they can go to freeswitch.org/VM, as in virtual machine, and there's a virtual machine image that they can download and run in most of the popular virtualization software like VirtualBox or VMware that can fire it right up. It's a technology demonstrator. I wouldn't recommend it for production, but a demonstration of video conferencing, SIP, and that kind of stuff. It's all built in right there, and it's ready to go for them to just fire up and have fun with.
Oh, very cool stuff. Well, you guys, sounds like you guys are up to a lot. This WebRTC stuff is really exciting. What we can do with it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and I know from having done video editing in the past and doing some live stuff, that what we're doing here today without WebRTC and doing it live on the web would have required tens of thousands of dollars of equipment, and it just totally made it. I don't want to use buzzwords, but it's made it where anybody and everybody can do it. So it's really cool. It's a really exciting time, and some of the content's out there. You mentioned earlier the millennials. It's my daughter. She sits on the couch with the iPad all day long watching YouTube. Doesn't even watch.
Well, that's part of our numbers and part of what we were on cable when eTech TV first aired for 5 years, and now it's a different. It's you've got to go out there to build your audience, but what you have to remember is where the millennials are going for their content right now, and that's why I think there's been a lot of cord cutting in the traditional broadcast media market, because the baby boomers on up and older are they'll still somewhat go to traditional television, but the millennials and the younger people they're living on the internet. And people, the first question people ask me, they say, "What channel are you on?" And I'm like, that is so 90s, because I'm like, we made ourselves a responsive app, not a responsive app, but the etech.tv website is mobile responsive. So I made sure that when you go on your mobile phone, you could watch it on your mobile phone. And I said, that's where I want people to go. I want people to look at it on their mobile device and then go to their desktop or go to their big screen or their Roku or their Apple TV or Amazon. I just believe that's where the future is. Even though I am here in the heart of the media city, the internet is definitely the network where, because you could, I tell people, you build your own network. We have the transport, because that's all the network is anyway. It's transport, right, to get your content out to people. Well, what do we have more of? More and more of. What is everybody carrying around in their pocket right now? They're carrying around a mobile device. That's the channel. I just say, pull up your browser, go and type etech.tv. That is the etech TV channel. That's where we are.
There you go. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I mean, we get a lot of people. We've been doing this show now. I think we're rapidly approaching 100 episodes since we started doing the full video interactive thing, and we've gotten a lot better at doing it. And I hope we continue to get better. I mean, we see that too. People watch it wherever they happen to be, on their laptop, on their mobile device, or even sitting at home with their Rokus or their Amazon Fire TVs or whatever. And you see that a lot. We're going to continue seeing that. I think it'll be real interesting to see how we can, if they can, if the technology, and I'm sure it will get there where we can kind of turn that on its head, where we can get people interacting back live with us.
That's
and their Fire TVs. I think that would be true.
Yeah, that's if you stop and look at it, and like I say, the traditional media hates it, but we have more and more, I'll call it citizen journalists, people that are out there with their devices and they're capturing things, good and bad, right? Happening live as it happens. And I actually think that's a good thing. There are people I follow on the internet that get information that you would never get on a traditional broadcast media network. So that's changing. So you can, in today's day and age, you could become your own little news network. And that's pretty interesting, because if you look at the days of broadcast television, I see you walking around the streets of New York City, you see a sat truck, right? And they're loaded up with satellite equipment. They're going to, full-fed mobile television station, really in a van, right? Right. And I'm actually going to construct this. This is one of my projects I'm going to do. Is I'm going to actually have a sat bicycle. I'm going to be battery powered with a sat bicycle with dual bonded cellular connections, so I could take multiple cellular connections. They actually have these devices now where you can bond 2 or 3 mobile lines together and stream live from a mobile device. So I'm going to actually have a mobile sat bike. I think I'm going to be the first one to make it.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming. It's coming. So, but yeah. So no, I think we're going good here and everything. So I think we're reaching about that time, Rich, and everything. So any last parting words for everybody?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show. We're definitely going to have you guys back on our show as well. We've got a lot of work to do. This has taken well over a year to kind of get ready, to build out the studio, to building out the websites, and a lot of that stuff is done. So we're putting the finishing touches on it. And for everyone out there, please, go to etech.tv. You can start, you'll start seeing more and more content coming out in the weeks ahead. We're launching a crowdfunder. You can also find that out. Find out about that on the website etech.tv. So we'd love to have you. We want to be the tech source, the place you go to for your daily technology needs. We're really going to stay in the tech arena. That's really what our focus is. So, our goal is to be, if you ever saw CNBC Squawk Box, we're going to be the Squawk Box of tech here, based out of New York City. So we'd love to have you. We want to thank you for having us on your show today.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming out and joining us today, Rich. We greatly appreciate it. And guys, don't forget, for you guys that are watching us on YouTube there, on the Free Switch channel, look down below. You'll see that subscribe button. You can click that and you get all the updates on when we post new shows and what we've got coming up. Also, for all the links that we talked about today, those will be available down in the show notes below. So check those out. You can find, freeswitch.org there. You can find eTech TV there. Find all kinds of fun stuff that we've talked about today. And we will be back here next week. So you guys check the schedule and watch the Twitter feed for that information. All right, guys. I want to say thanks and have a good afternoon.
You've been watching ClueCon Weekly. Tune in every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time or visit us online. Please follow the FreeSwitch team on Twitter and Facebook by visiting our site at freeswitch.org.